go ahead and kick things off. We might have a couple more people join us, but I think they'll be able to jump right into the conversation. To begin, I guess I'll just thank you for coming to this session. I think American University has had a long, for many years, has supported academic support programs like the two that we're going to discuss today, and the ideas of embedding peers into classes and the benefits that come from that. And I think that by having this conversation today, at least you will have gained a connection to a colleague who is also committed to these goals and these aspirations. But we also hope that. Yeah. Sure. We'll go ahead and dive in. We may or may not regain our colleagues.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll let my fellow panelists introduce themselves in a moment. I'm Brad Knight. I'm the manager of the General Education Program, and I oversee the General Education Faculty Assistance Program, which has been in place since 1990, so a long-running program here at AU for our general education classes. The typology in the academic literature about embedded peer programs is strong in its support of these programs because students show learning gains in these classes when they have a peer and near peer to them. They also find that students gain a greater sense of self-efficacy because the kinds of activities that students are engaged in when they are in these roles are more focused on the process of how to learn than they are, here's your checklist, let's make sure that you're doing this correctly. And then I think that the third benefit really to these programs are that students show greater help-seeking behaviors because the peer really models and normalizes that in this situation you should really seek out the assistance of the writing center or the writing lab and so on. The structure today, so we'll briefly talk about our two programs and then we'll dive in and have hopefully a conversation about the different strategies that you are considering, that you've done, that you've found successful and not. On the back of the page that went around, there are some prompts that we can work our way through if folks want to, and we'll just sort of see whether we have another fire alarm and where this conversation goes. And I hope that you'll walk away with a couple of ideas for ways to support your students who might be in these roles, but then also different ways you might utilize a student in a role like this. So I'll hand it off to Ricardo to talk about the Supplemental Instruction Program.
Thank you. Good morning, my name is Ricardo Maisonneuve. I am the coordinator of the Supplemental Instruction Program. I'm housed in the Academic Support and Access Center. So what that basically is a program where we have embedded tutors who attend courses and they facilitate 2 one-hour weekly sessions, reiterating some of the course material as well as teaching students or giving them best practices and strategies. The way the SI program or the sessions are structured, very much so emphasis on collaborative learning. So a lot of like small group, maybe some large group discussions, as well as also having the SI leader build this rapport to students because it is a near peer. What I've noticed in my experience in this capacity that students feel very more comfortable with the student peer, as well as being able to be explicit about their challenges and struggles. So what we do is basically have students who've done well in the class, are knowledgeable, have the ability to engage students academically, and have a passion for the subject itself. So from that, with that as well as pairing with the faculty member, we know the students, again, as Brad says, more independent, more inclined to reach out for assistance, to also able to gauge their progress a little better because they have different assets, different resources to reach out to. And then I think the greatest thing is also just being comfortable with saying, hey, I'm not sure where to go, I don't know where to start. And I think a lot of times that's the greatest challenge for students, right? Where it's that, where do I go, where do I start? How do I sort of alleviate the issue I'm having with this class? And I think having the support as such gives those students here at AU the opportunity to do that, for them to not only be academically involved, but as well as to pick up on these skills and these qualities that's transferable outside of the academic setting as well.
And so the GEFAP program shares many of these same values as SI. The sort of orientation towards collaborative learning, cooperative learning, also the treatment of the GEFAP student assistant or the SI leader as a development opportunity. That student is also being mentored by the faculty member that they're working with and with us. And I think the third very key piece of the GEFAP program, redundant GEFAP program, but it is the way we refer to it, is that the GEFAP student assistants are modeling effective learning practices. So by being in the classroom, they're showing what are the ways to be engaged in the material. I think that one of the key ways that I've observed students really provide encouragement to students are showing what it looks like to speak out in class and challenge, but in a informed and academic manner. So not to just say, this is my experience, therefore I disagree, but to really draw upon sort of what the faculty member or their peers are saying and build from it in a rich way. So I want to let our third panelist speak. She has had experience actually with both of our programs, and so we particularly asked her to join us because she has that dual experience, and she'll kick us off with the kind of first question, but grounded in her past experience with both programs.
Thank you. So my name is Jessica Usinski. I'm from the physics department. I'm a term faculty here, and I have taught many general education courses in introductory physics. And the one that I teach most often, I think almost every semester since I've been here, is our intro astronomy class. And I have been very grateful to both Brad and Ricardo, and they've always been very helpful in providing support for that class. So I actually have both a GEFAP and an SI leader for my course. And it's been really invaluable for me. So astronomy is almost like the quintessential general education class where the students that take it, it doesn't satisfy any physics major requirement. In fact, I don't think it counts as an elective for the applied physics minor, which is very specific and not a whole lot of people do that. So pretty much everybody in that class is not taking it to further their physics lives, I guess. Anyway, basically what that means for me is that it's really hard to teach. There's a lot of people in there and they have very different backgrounds, very different comfort levels with math, a lot of them have never taken any physics class before. So I know the first semester that I taught it, I was told about the GEFAP program, and I was told that I had a GEFAP leader, or GEFAP helper, whatever you call it. And I really struggled at first with, okay, that's great. What do I do with this person? So that was kind of tricky for me. And it took a little while for me to figure out how best to utilize a student helper, where they got something out of it as well as the students in the class. So I guess I can talk a little bit about some of the things that I've done that I think have worked and some of the things that I think maybe have not worked so well. At first, my thought was, oh, well, they could just have extra office hours for students to go to. It didn't seem to work so well for my class, at least. Of course, the students in my class benefit from as many resources as possible. However, a lot of them are freshmen. They're not used to taking that initiative themselves to just go and talk to someone who they don't know very well. So I tried to integrate them more into the classroom, obviously introduce them to the class, have them maybe teach a little bit, so mini lessons. We're really involved, in the physics department, we use a lot of peer instruction and what physics education research tells us works best in terms of student understanding, student learning. And so we try to make it more interactive to begin with, but it's really nice to have a peer, for the students to have a peer to sort of help them along in that process. This is sort of a silly kind of story, but I've found it to be particularly true as I've taught longer and longer. My department chair warned me when I first started teaching, like, okay, you're going to see that the more you teach, the harder it is for you to remember what it was like when you were first learning this material. So make sure that if you have a student leader in the class, that they can be sort of that liaison between you and the rest of your class, because they will remember how hard it was since they just learned it, basically. So what I have done with my GEFAP and my SI leaders is have them facilitate kind of small group discussion. We do a lot of group work in my class. And then since I'm teaching astronomy, one of the things that is just kind of easy for me to do is we have a couple of telescopes. So I have my student leaders help me do like observing sessions, that kind of thing. And then when they're trained on the telescope, they can even do it themselves. Anyway, so I'm talking a lot here. I guess if everybody has the handout. Okay, so the first question that we had on here is this one takeaway you hope to get by attending the session, one topic you hope to discuss, and I can even start that. I know when I first, as I mentioned, when I first had student leaders, I didn't really know what to do with them. So I'm anxious, or I'm looking forward to hearing what other people have done with their undergraduate assistants in the classroom. So I know maybe in physics it might be different than in other disciplines, but I know that there are lots of things that we can share and hopefully learn some new ideas from other people. So that's what I am hoping to